Hi, I'm Erik Groset, CEO of BetFully. And I'm panicked about inflation apocalypse for startups.
Hey, Potts.
Hey, friend.
Hello, Newman. What's up?
Newman.
What's up?
Not much. We are recording, and we've had a long recording week behind us, and we're having fun.
Do you have any questions for Howie?
No. Yes, actually, how is everything today? Did you have good breakfast?
I have not eaten. I did yoga.
You did yoga?
I did yoga with Ellen, and only had a couple of two farts in inappropriate moments. It's like I have such good flexibility. Well, you asked the question. What am I going to lie to my audience, my listener of two, who enjoy the fart jokes, by the way? And I don't know what it is. I didn't drink milk. I'm very conscious of breaking wind during a yoga class. And it's just I tense up and sounds come out of me.
Well, it is entertaining for the other people around you, of course.
What it does is it clears Matt start moving. You know, it's like people don't necessarily know, but they won't look me in the eye. They just move on.
Yeah, right.
Then I get that look of disapproval after the class.
Yes,
when they look at their boyfriend and go, that was the guy.
Yeah.
That was the guy. Anyways, it's just something Ellen and I do together that I destroy. Not on purpose. It's like no matter what we try, I do something that Larry David might have done.
Exactly.
And there is something about yoga, though, that I love. I'm back into it. We do private classes, Canute. And we've only gone through three.
Three instructors in the last 2 weeks?
One was because we were canceling like lunatics because of my schedule.
Right.
And then one might have been gas, but no, the exit interview did not produce any evidence of why they had quit. And this last one, just right. She's fantastic. And she's been doing yoga forever. Here's what I'm skeptical of people who do yoga forever. They don't look like they do yoga forever. You know? The picture I have of yoga people in North Scottsdale is they weigh 6 pounds and have tattoos and fake things they wear. But this woman looks like she eats a lot, but she's very flexible. And I really do recommend people, maybe not you, Canute, because you're very unathletic, to try out yoga.
I'm unsurprisingly athletic.
No, I'm surprisingly athletic. You are not surprisingly anything. No one even says, Canute, let's go play tennis. All right. And
I
how's your
resemble that
family?
remark. They're good.
Everybody's good?
Yeah.
All right.
Behaving.
All right. Well, we have a friend of mine from San Diego.
Cool.
Who is a founder and who's a grinder. He's in our fund too. We are now investing out of Fund 4. And we also have an emerging manager fund. So we have 5 funds. In our second fund, while I was still living in Coronado, we made a local investment in a friend of ours, Erik Groset. How do you pronounce it?
Groset.
What do you think it is? French? We'll ask him, I guess.
I think I know what it is.
What is it?
It's Norwegian.
Is he?
Yep.
Bastard. So he's a Norwegian kid, and he was in the fantasy app business well before it was like during the dog days of like legal battles with DraftKings and where everybody was trying to get gambling approved. And he's stayed alive building a cash flow business around the edges and launched recently BetFully, which I want to have him explain. And he's got a nice growing business, but he wanted to talk about what it's like as a founder, a successful founder. He's been doing this forever. He's an author. He's very good around his community. But I want him to give a lay of the land of this inflation apocalypse that he's thinking about and worried about as the summer of 2022 rages on, and layoffs everywhere. Founders are worried. There's a lot of young money in the market the last 10 years, and he's been through a few cycles. So I want to catch up with him and see if we can share some wisdom for other founders out there. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
Hestekik!
Hey guys.
What's going? Do you speak Norwegian, Eric?
9.
So is the giveaway Eric with a K? That means you're Norwegian, or is it just a
Yeah.
last name that's Norwegian?
I mean, we're a combination of all different Northern European, and so, it all blends together. But that was a tribute to the Norwegian heritage with the K.
So let's talk fantasy. Like you and your brother started this company. We met you through the Pang man, Jason Pang.
Yep.
And we hit it off right away. I don't know, 6 years or 7 years maybe. I was a young man at the time. I was not manscaping, but thinking about, well, why isn't there something that would clean my groin and my back hair, etc. But you came along and you sunk a putt. I think we were at. You had to make a putt for us to invest, because that's how we made decisions back then, Canute.
Yep.
It was a bull market, and 30-foot putts were $1 million putts at the time. We were
Nice.
we were at which course? At
Torrey Pines.
Torrey Pines,
Yep.
having lunch. I said, I like this idea, but I don't know enough about fantasy. If you can drain this putt, maybe. So tell us about BetFully today and what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, the general pitch to Howard at Torrey Pines was, hey, sports gambling is going to be legalized in the next few years.
How
Fantasy
wrong
is
you
the
were.
gateway to it. Well, you were the only one that heard out that pitch, because everyone else laughed at me at the door when I suggested it. So appreciate that, and some props to you for having some forward intuition into that as well. And, we had a great product that was starting to catch a lot of steam. It was ranked second to DraftKings and FanDuel in the app stores, and it was an app that helps people essentially build their lineups and optimize them, and which players to pick and the reasons why. And it was great. It's still a great subscription business, but from that we came up with the idea for BetFully, which is cash back whether you win or lose, up to 10%. So basically the universal sports gambling rewards program, and essentially Ebates or honey for sports gambling and online casino. And that's BetFully in a nutshell.
And it's simple to do. I did it. I don't bet, but when I get a deal like that, I placed a $500 bet because I knew I was going to get my money back. Correct?
Correct.
So it's
yeah,
a lead gen engine. It's like what? And why won't Honey get into this business? Is it too small a niche, or it's just like they have their customers that do one thing?
Right. They're primarily e-commerce based. They're very clean cut. And for BetFully, we're also taking the concept and we're adding our core competency on top of it. We're doing it in a very unique way that's inobtrusive for the operators themselves, so they don't have to do any software engineering. They just have to give us the okay. And it's lead generation, so they get great new customers. It's also reactivation and retention, which is huge for them. Especially once the kind of wars are settled here for this. So if Howard goes dormant for 90 days, we can say, hey, if we tempt Howard with a push notification saying you'll get 10% cash back if you gamble on the Super Bowl or whatever their marketing initiative is, we can reactivate you fairly quickly using that route.
Huh.
As well as we can help segment and identify customers all the way from whales down to problem gamblers. So helping stop problem gambling before it becomes an issue.
Okay, so what do that work through, like a Chrome? Well, because everybody on gambling's mobile. So how does that work in a mobile world? I haven't used Honey in forever, so I'm trying to think how this works. How do people discover BetFully?
Yep. So it is an app as well, and so you would download the app BetFully. Then you would link your account that you deposit with. So say PayPal or Wells Fargo, Western Union, whatever it may be, you link that account, and now we're scraping for transactions that will happen on a forward basis. So if you deposit $1,000, we would know to give you $100 back, whether you win or lose. And then we can also kind of prove you to be a new customer for that entity. On top of that, we have an additional source that we use called Sharp Sports, which lets us link your sportsbook or online casino account directly. And now we know what happened to that $1,000 after it landed as well. So maybe you played $200 of blackjack and $400 of parlays, and $500 of straight bets, whatever it is, we can tell much more than the individual casino from a top level perspective of what they're doing at their competitors as well after they leave that casino.
That's pretty cool.
Yep.
It's 2022. What surprised you the most about the betting industry over the last 5 years?
I think the ways in which each individual state is treating it, and it's a very specific topic that's been accelerated because of COVID, but at the same time, there's so many players, whether it's the Old Vegas, the tribes, the tech groups, everyone wants to have a say in it, and so there's some very unique rules that are state specific, and so we have to, just to market this, we have to apply for licenses in many states, which is quite comprehensive. Tens of thousands of dollars in fees, background checks, fingerprinting, my personal tax records. It's quite in depth to get licensed just to market legalized sports gambling. And
oh, so even you have to, just to market it through BetFully, they have all this data about you?
Yep, correct. Yeah, and it's a bit of a barrier to entry, but more so it's just making sure that we're good actors and have positive intentions to act appropriately within the industry.
Well, you are touching people's money. So I have this thesis that it's like a race to the bottom now. Like, so we all had this vision, or DraftKings, FanDuel, or we're going to say had this vision 2008, 2009, 2010, and they fought the wars. They beat each other up. They took on the government. They fought.
Yep.
And here we are. What they got for winning was just everybody doing the same thing, very commoditized product. Is it as commoditized as I think? Is this a race to the bottom? Is the customer wins here because if they don't have a gambling problem, they can blow their brains out here?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It is a race to the bottom. There's a lot of thought around this right now, and you can see different operators trying different things. So as an example, DraftKings is dabbling in NFTs a little bit, which of course, if you extrapolate out to markets in general, it's all gambling, right? And so you've got fintech and gambling starting to overlap here a little bit, as well as in Europe, a more mature gambling market, they utilize peer-to-peer markets as kind of the go-to for sports gambling these days, in that you can bet against each other or whoever sets the line that you actually want, as opposed to being set by the casino. And then in that case, the operators are just intermediaries collecting a kind of fee for linking the two parties. So we see it through that lens of it is a race to the bottom, but we want to also be that forever faucet that our partners can lean on for new customers and retention and reactivation, no matter what happens in the industry. And we think kind of the sticky part from our side is that a lot of people charge for data and analytics, premium data and analytics for sports to have an edge right now. And we would like to offer that for free to our customers that are opting into the BetFully ecosystem. And we think that by doing that, that will kind of create the stickiness that keeps them coming back to BetFully.
That's cool, because you're in Switzerland of their data in a way that they can just see how good and bad they really are and share that and try and get better.
Exactly.
So how many people is BetFully today?
So there's 10 of us working full-time on this all day, every day, out of Carlsbad, so North County, San Diego, right next to Legoland. Mm-hmm. And everyone's basically back in the office. We try to do a little bit of a hybrid setup whenever anyone needs that space that they got used to for 2 years. But basically, it's a full office every day. And then we utilize contractors for stuff like content, although we did just build a studio in-house, so we can do a lot of content in-house now. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of external experts that we lean on for sports. As an example, UFC is coming up, and so we have a UFC expert, a former fighter, and so he gives a lot of context on the data and thoughts there. So it's very unique to that regard.
And how big is the market in America? So it's how many gamblers are there? What is the pool?
It's Big and growing bigger. So the stat on New York that just came out for sports gambling, let's see, 267 million since it's been legal. 267 million in tax revenue since sports betting has been legal since January. Okay, so in 6 months, from zero to now, 267 million in tax revenue. So that's voluntary tax. Nobody had to, worry about being taken out of their check. This is people racing to give that money, essentially. And that's why states are rapidly legalizing now, and it's on the ballot for California here in November.
Right, and it's kind of one of those taxes like gambling where it doesn't affect me because I don't gamble, so I'm not paying tax on it. I'm sure I am somehow because this is funding NRA or something, but so I'm sure I'm paying.
Right.
But I don't even want to worry about it, fucking Schumer. All right, so numbers are big. The platforms are in a race to the bottom. Is there loyalty? There's no way there's loyalty because as little as I gamble, who cares? Whoever gives me the best deal, because I don't understand betting enough to dig into all these apps. Is there any loyalty?
There's some loyalty, and it's primarily based around how well the apps themselves are laid out, the navigation, and the kind of the ease of use, and then the general odds and promotions that they give.
What matters more?
I think for most people, it's the promotions for sure.
Okay.
And that's kind of what we're leaning into too with BetFully.
So my gut would be then the people that could offer the best promotion are like the Caesars and MGM because they have stuff to offer.
Generally speaking, yes.
So that's their advantage over, if there was one big advantage, isn't that it? The conglomeration of those, that they can offer extra benefits and perks versus DraftKings and FanDuel and let's say Barstool can only just entertain you?
For the most part, I mean, they all use a lot of the same white-labeled software right now, which makes it a fairly level playing field. But as more custom stuff that the audience is looking specifically for starts coming out from some of these operators, it's starting to make a little bit more of a unique impact from, they have exactly what I'm looking for in terms of, a parlay builder or something along those lines.
And so now let's BetFully. Have I missed anything about BetFully or anything that you need from our audience? So, our audience there's gamblers here, right? Like there's venture capitalists, there's traders. So they go to BetFully, download the app, and it's pretty simple. Is there anything else my audience could benefit from knowing about BetFully?
Super straightforward, like you said. Just go to betfully.com, download the app there, get in where it's legal. Obviously, if you don't have legalized sports gambling in your state yet, we do offer some promotions and money back for stuff like DFS and horse racing, and so there's something for everyone there. But in terms of what else the audience should know, I mean, you mentioned we're in Fund 2 and we're going on year 6 here, so we're we're doing pretty darn good with what we've got, and we've got money coming in. Obviously, I'm panicked about what happens in inflation apocalypse here, but we will be doing a fundraise here soon. We'll see how that works out, but it's a very, from the conversations we've been having, it's an idea that really resonates. It's been really well received, and excited to share that with other people. So looking forward to that.
So switching to the world and around you, I think that's interesting that you've stayed through COVID. Maybe it's just San Diego is a great place to start a business, or the type of talent you need, you've been able to find because you're more of a product guy. So you've handpicked people around you. I love the idea of having an office. So I think you're one of our only companies that really isn't remote out of 100 or so companies. Tell me, like, why you care about inflation as a CEO or as the founder of a young company.
For us, inflation means reducing growth, and that's one of the scariest things. So capital preservation is a big concern of ours, making sure that we're still able to build the best product, position ourselves the best to kind of ride out the storm, so to speak, without needing to do anything that would potentially jeopardize the company from the trajectory it's on right now. But when it comes to growth, I mean, we can't do the massive Google ad spend and Facebook ad spend that, previously you could do without too much concern of that, there's a likely fair valued fundraise around the corner. I don't think that's a guarantee at this point for anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to plan accordingly and place our chess pieces to out-survive and beat our competitors for the long run.
What are you seeing in the industry? Like, are you seeing DraftKings and FanDuel pull back their budgets too? I mean, I would assume they are, but what are you seeing?
Generally speaking, they're still going pretty hard on marketing. And I think they have no choice. Like you said, it's a race to the bottom. So they need to collect as many names and emails as they can right now in the ways that they know that it's working for them right now. And especially when a new state comes on with California, say, legalizing in November and coming online in January. I mean, they have to have a ton of money to be able to get on that right away because the first month it goes online is pretty much the most critical time point to,
The gold rush. So they're all lined up to market
Exactly.
that month. So do you think California goes for it? They need the money, right?
I would say it's extremely likely. It's not, well, I'm not even sure they need the money according to this budget surplus that may or may not exist, but it's just something that everyone wants here. And they've seen it so successful in other similar states like New York that I would just say it's extremely likely it passes.
So would California be the biggest, or would it stay as New York?
I believe California would be the biggest.
And so as you see this industry, you try and survive this. You've been lean. You've only raised a few $1 million through all this, right?
Correct, too.
And so what would you do in a world where you have money to spend? How does, in this environment, how do you be creative about growth? How have you thought, like in a perfect world where I wanted to spend, how would you be creative right now?
There's something about people in physical locations, bars or whatever, telling you you'll get $100 back if you sign up right away. That it works pretty well as a conversion piece. I'm a big fan of guerrilla marketing from that.
Love that idea.
And,
I mean, so what would you do? Hire college kids to just
correct. Yeah.
walk around with the app and hand out flyers? That would just work.
Yep. Exactly.
Just guerrilla
Yep.
hand-to-hand contact.
Exactly.
Much
Yep.
cheaper than these commercials that just rage on between FanDuel and the next one is DraftKings.
And those are wholly ineffective, as are billboards
Are they? So why are they doing them, do you think? It's just the machine?
It's the machine plus a little bit of ego.
Wow. Because the other guy's doing it.
Yep.
Really fascinating, the amount of waste. I kind of feel the same way because in the end, you're watching ESPN, you're watching the game, and they're flashing the odds. So
yeah, and it's one thing for them to do, something unique and cool like FTX did with Larry David or the QR code, but they are just doing very, generic ads right now, and it's wholly ineffective.
And is there going to be a lot of acquisitions in this space, do you think, or the companies just don't have the capital structure to do that? How does this space look to you? Is there 100 apps or are there 4?
I think there will be about 10, and I think they're going to be fairly niche. So, there might be something, for instance, online casino that specializes in Asian-specific games, right? And they're very, very specific about what they want to gamble on and the ways in which they want to gamble. And then there might be another, niche just for, rugby fans or something along those lines. And then there will always be a new startup that tries something new. And then there will be the existing kind of titans. So I think it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 apps that are kind of constantly revolving.
And what's the most surprising sport that people like, the young people? Is it horse racing? Is it car? What is it?
F1 has come up in a major way thanks to the Netflix series. So I think, that has started a new trend in betting towards F1 that, otherwise would have been underappreciated previously, at least in the U.S.
Well, they're planning a Netflix special around golf. Has golf got potential for that, or is there too much risk
Golf has always been huge for betting, and I think the odds are so exciting there that generally speaking, even a fairly good golfer, you can get somewhere from 10 to 1 to 20 to 1 on, and $1,000 bet across three fairly good golfers is could net you a pretty good result there.
That's some excitement.
That is some excitement.
And what's the biggest bet you've ever done? Assuming your wife's not listening, what's the biggest bet you've ever made?
Probably $1,500. Nothing too crazy, but on a 3 to 5 leg parlay that can anywhere from 10x to 40x your money. It's pretty exciting on the line.
And what got you hooked on fantasy in general way back in the day?
I start startups around my personal passions and trends, and kind of when those two circles overlap is where I've found success. And generally speaking, it's a cheat code for product market fit, and it doesn't always work, but in this instance, specifically with the rapid legalization and kind of drama around fantasy to legalize gambling, it worked out quite well.
Well, that's just awesome. What's it like growing this business in San Diego? Obviously, that's where I met you. What's it like? You hear all this stuff about California, but very few startups in San Diego. So what's the community like there?
It's a good startup community. It's mostly biotech based, and then most of the tech that's here is trying to kind of piggyback on one of the bigger companies, so say Qualcomm. So if you're starting a wireless technology company, you would start an office outside of Qualcomm and get to know them very well, or you would have worked there previously and they would know you're there already. So for us, we're a bit of an outlier, but because of that, we get some good attention from the community, and we're a good talking point for the San Diego startup scene. And I think it's great. I would rather not start a startup anywhere else but San Diego. I think it's just the greatest place in the world, weather-wise, and just a whole lot of fun to start a startup here.
Yeah, I love it. I'm excited to come back to see you this summer, think through some of this stuff with you. Obviously, you've crafted a really simple product market fit idea. And when will you start with the Guerrilla? I mean, you've been doing guerrilla tactics, yeah? So it's just something you just decide to spend more on, right? There's no shortcut.
Exactly. Yep. And I think it starts to heat up a little bit more as we get about a month out from football starting. And
we're all sharing Raiders tickets, yes?
Yes. Well, Tom got those season tickets, and I think that's a pretty phenomenal stadium there, and so much to offer. I think it's a really, really cool venue.
Yeah, we're in the BetFully row.
Yep, exactly.
So, well, it's great to finally have you on.
Can I give a quick story real quick, Howard?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right, so this is right before the pandemic hit. I went to San Francisco, the first hotspot, and then Howard hits me up. He's like, "Hey, come to New York. We're gonna meet with a bunch of investors."
Oh,
and
shit.
Yeah, I tell my wife, I'm a little leery about going, but Howard said go, and she said, "Well, you better go then." So, all right, so jump on a plane and go out to New York, and we have all these great meetings and dinners, and we're at Van Eck doing investor talks there, and I got to meet Gabor of Van Eck, and he was doing the crypto funds over there. That was awesome. So, I'd seen him on Twitter a lot, never got to meet him in person. That was great. And then to my right was, Mr. Buterin. I was like, oh my God, are you his dad? And he's like, yep. I was like, holy shit, we're in a cool place. And I thought that was the coolest night. And then the next day happens, and COVID's starting to hit kind of hard, but I'm like, all right, I think I'm going to stay in. And Gary's like, no, man, you got to come out to dinner. We're doing something fun tonight. And so, I'm like, all right, fine. And so Howard sends me an address for an obscure Italian clothes shop in the middle of Soho.
Oh, and, right. Ari. Okay, keep going.
Ari, yep. And so we get drinks there in this, awesome clothing shop where every T-shirt costs $700.
Yeah.
And he's having his assistant bring us 15-year, and I'm like, oh, this is awesome. I'm thinking about buying those $700 T-shirts, and they're like, no, we got to go to dinner. And so we start walking over to dinner. I have no idea where we're going. We go to this little restaurant called Carbone on a Wednesday night. And we get settled in, and we've got a pretty good table, I think. At our table, we've got Rob from Rally Road, we've got Adam from Twitter
Adam
and
Payne,
Virgin Galactic,
Yep.
and John from ESPN, and all the social leverage guys. And I thought we had a pretty cool table. And then Gary whispers, he goes, "Hey, look behind you. I think that's Kate Hudson." And I was like, "What? Kate Hudson?" And then her mom is there.
Right.
And I go, "Yeah, that's cool." And then I look over a little bit to my right, and I see Leonardo DiCaprio. And I'm like, "Oh my God."
Right.
what's
He was
going
sitting
on
right
here?
behind me. Yep.
He's right behind Howard. And then Eve from Entourage is at his table. And then look a little bit more to my right, and Russell Wilson and Ciara are there. And as I'm processing all of this, in walks David Beckham.
I remember that. Just like famous people just walk up to other famous people. We're literally
is
in a room,
happening?
Canute, the size of this room with 4 tables of celebs.
4 tables.
You walk up
It's-
to celebrities too, Howard.
I was leaning back
They
trying
think
to
you are
listen
one.
into their conversation now that I remember it. Remember? They were all talking about podcasting and COVID. What do you know?
And Beckham says what up to all of them, and then he leaves, and I'm like, what is going on? And it made me feel good though, because I'm like, if these guys are out, maybe COVID's not going to be that bad. And I remember leaving the restaurant that night, having such a great night, and then I think it was like a week later, all of Manhattan shut down.
Yeah. All of Manhattan shut down. That night I passed a stone and stumbled in. I was not feeling well that night, and I ended up stumbling into the hospital thinking I was dying.
Jesus.